Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The Sensex and the Nifty end in the green for the third day, but gains are limited. Volatility index slides 20%, the biggest fall in nearly 5 years. Brokerages upgrade their target price for the Reliance stock after a strong Q4 performance. Jio, oil and gas and retail businesses power up growth even as the O2C business remains resilient. Reliance Industries, JSW Group and Maharaj are among the 7 bidders for the government's production-linked incentive scheme to manufacture batteries for electric vehicles. The scheme has an outlay of over 3,600 crore rupees. India's food safety regulator will examine all infant formula and baby food products. The move comes after a Swiss organization claimed that Nestlé's baby food products sold in Asia, Africa and Latin America contained added sugar. Sources say a scientific committee of the FSSAI is likely to submit its report within a month. Patanjali tells the Supreme Court it's issued a public apology across 67 newspapers over misleading ads. The Supreme Court asked if the apology was published prominently and asked why the ads have not been placed on record before the court adjourns the hearing to next week. Indigo's Rahul Bhatia and former Tech Mahindra CEO CP Gurnani launch a new artificial intelligence venture planned to offer cutting-edge technologies to businesses, starting with travel-related industries. The United Nations human rights chief is horrified after reports of a mass grave inside a Gaza hospital that was occupied by Israeli forces. No progress in the peace talks as both sides trade barbs. Palestinian students' protests spread across the US, with dozens arrested across Yale and NYU. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese calls Elon Musk an arrogant billionaire who considered himself above the law. This after X refuses to comply with the Australian regulator's orders, asking them to take down videos of a stabbing incident in Sydney and not just geo-block the post. Musk tweets on X asking if the e-safety in Australia has authority over all countries on earth. Well, straight to the day's market action. The Lal Street ended higher for the third day, but the gains today were limited. The Nifty and the Sensex closing 0.25% higher. Mid-caps outperformed the blue chips after that index soared about 1%. However, the volatility index slid 20% to its record single-day fall since May 2019. Prashant is standing by now to decode the day's market action for us. Prashant, closing largely in the green. That's the story as far as the markets are concerned. But what do you make of the move in the volatility index?
It had been 2 days of very solid gains. Friday off the lows big time, then Monday continuation of that rally. And today we basically got into a gap area, which was the resistance zone for the Nifty above 22,400. And that did act as a bit of a resistance. The market ending by 3:30 in a flattish kind of way. Up, but nothing as compared to what we've had over the last 2 sessions. Bank Nifty, of course, it was weaker. Actually, the Nifty Bank was only weak because of HDFC Bank. A long list of other banking stocks were all up 1/4 to 0.5% to 1%. I mean, if you really looked under the hood. Mid-cap and small-cap indices much better. So broader markets, and that's the reason why the market breadth looked good and well from the word go in the morning. Advanced decline stood out. Now, large caps which participated on the upside. Grasim was up. Actually, the Birla Group companies that I'll get to more on that in just a bit. Bharti, Nestle were some of the stocks which participated. On the downside, Sun Pharma was a loser. There was BPCL, Reliance Industries, Mahindra & Mahindra, Hindalco and Dr. Reddy's was another pharma name. In the broader market, as I said, more up than down, and Birla Group companies were the toast of town. So Idea was up and 10%. Actually, at one point, Idea was up almost 15%. But still 10-11% by close. ABFRL and AB Capital were some of the other big movers today. The shipyard companies, Cochin Shipyard, Garden Reach Shipbuilders. There was a Moil which participated well. Tejas Networks on the back of good earnings. BSC Limited did well. Indiabulls Real Estate. There was Sudarshan Chemicals, Honasa, Hudson Agro were some of the earnings-related reactions. On the downside, M&M Finance, there was a fraud detected there. Zomato pulled back a little bit, and there was an ABB which was under pressure as well. Back to you.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. Multiple brokerages upgrading their target price for Reliance Industries, the stock, after the strong Q4 performance. Reliance Jio, oil and gas and retail businesses have led from the front. The O2C business also resilient. Brokerages like Jefferies, Bernstein, Morgan Stanley have upgraded their target price for the stock. Reliance Industries, JSW Group and Amara Raja are among the 7 bidders for the government's production-linked incentive scheme to manufacture batteries for electric vehicles. The scheme has an outlay of over 3,600 crore rupees. Parikshit is standing by with more details. Parikshit, the deadline ending today. Take us through the details of who's in.
Well, this was the second phase of the ACC-PLI scheme for battery storage to set up battery manufacturing capacity in the country. Now, this scheme goes back to 2021 when it was first announced with a total outlay of 18,100 crores. Now, the first companies to qualify for the first phase of the scheme for 30 gigawatt-hour capacity were Reliance Industries, Rajesh Exports and Ola Electric. The government recently opened bids for the second phase of the ACC-PLI scheme, and now they have received 7 bids. And these are some of the biggest energy players in the country, including Reliance Industries, JSW, Neo Energy Limited, Anvi Power, Amara Raja, Acme Cleantech, Vari Energies, Lucas TVS, and JSW had told us earlier that they would be investing or applying for the ACC-PLI scheme because they want to localize manufacturing as much as possible, whatever they do with the collaboration with MG Motor India. Now the process of opening bids has begun, and in the next few months, after going through the bids, verifying the documents, the government will go ahead and award capacity for 10 gigawatt hour. Now, all of this is important for the Indian electric vehicle ecosystem because the government believes that once electric vehicle batteries start getting manufactured in India on a large scale, one, we will be exporters also, and the domestic electric vehicle makers will be able to bring down costs because they will get locally manufactured electric vehicle batteries.
All right, many thanks for joining us, Parikshit. Appreciate you giving us those details. Shares of M&M Financial slipping more than 8% in early trade after the company postponed its board meeting to discuss the fourth quarter results. Now, this meeting was scheduled for today. This delay comes after 150 crore rupee fraud was detected at one of the company's branches in the northeast region. The fraud allegedly involved forgery of KYC documents related to retail vehicle loans, and this has resulted in the misappropriation of company funds. The results will now be declared on the 30th of May. India's food safety regulator will examine all infant formula and baby food products. The move comes after a Swiss organization claimed Nestlé's baby food products sold in Asia, Africa and Latin America contained added sugar. Now, responding to the report, Nestlé said variations in sugar content across countries depended on several factors, including regulations and availability of local ingredients, which can result in offerings with lower or no added sugars. Nestlé also said that it does not compromise on the nutritional value of the products for infants and young children. A scientific committee of the FSSAI is likely to submit its report on this matter within a month. Timsy standing by now with more details. Timsy, take us through what the food safety regulator intends to do.
Well, yes, as you rightly said, the action also comes against Nestlé. To be precise, not just Nestlé, all baby food and formula milk manufacturers are under FSSAI scanner. Again here, testing has been ordered. Random sampling will be done across the states with the help of food regulators, state food regulators. And yes, with respect to Nestlé per se specifically, a scientific committee has been set who is now testing the samples of Nestlé's Cerelac to see the sugar content, whether they are as per the government guidelines or not. Here, let me remind you that the guidelines say that up to 20% can be the sugar content. And what Nestlé India had to say to this, last week they issued a clarification where they said that they would like to assure that their infant Cerelac products are manufactured to ensure the appropriate delivery of nutritional requirements such as protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, iron, etc. for early childhood. Also, they said that over the past 5 years, they have reduced added sugars by up to 30%, depending on the variant. And they regularly review the portfolio and continue to innovate and reformulate the products to further reduce the level of added sugars without compromising on nutrition, quality, safety, and taste. So let's see, because this scientific committee, when it comes to specifically Nestlé's Cerelac, will take a month's time to get back to FSSAI, and only then FSSAI will take a final call whether what action needs to be taken, whether an action needs to be taken or not. And yes, in the meantime, all the state food regulators will do random sampling, checking of baby food, baby formula milk by all the brands to see whether they are in compliance with the norms or not. Back to you.
All right, many thanks, Timsy. Now, the food safety regulator will also conduct tests on samples of all major spice mix brands. This move comes after Singapore ordered an import recall on select spice mixes produced by Everest. Authorities in Hong Kong also issued an order asking MDH Masala to stop selling some products immediately. In both Singapore and Hong Kong, authorities claim to have detected ethylene oxide in select spice mix products. Ethylene oxide is classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer and is banned across all food products in India. In court corner, Patanjali informing the Supreme Court that it's issued a public apology across 67 newspapers for misleading ads that were placed before. The court has asked if the apology was published prominently and asked why the ads have not been placed on record before the court. On your screens is the apology from Patanjali, published across various newspapers. The Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing to next week. Ashmit is here with more on the court action. Ashmit, the court asking Patanjali for details about the ads that have been placed, which are box items, nothing like the ads that were placed by the company. But more importantly, the court also bringing in issues related to the FMCG sector in totality.
Well, today is when the contempt hearing of Baba Ramdev had been scheduled, and just a day prior to that, Patanjali Ayurved had published advertisements in as many as 67 newspapers apologizing for its conduct, essentially conveying that it respects the dignity of the court as well as constitutional principles. However, the Apex Court had many questions. Number one, it asked why this was not placed on record. It was not available on the records of the Apex Court. Second, it asked how prominent these ads were and whether one would require a microscope to look at these advertisements. Third, the Supreme Court observed that if these advertisements are as big, as prominent, and have cost as much as the advertisements that Patanjali Ayurved had issued when publicizing its own products. So these are questions that Baba Ramdev as well as Patanjali Ayurved now have 1 week's time to get back to the Apex Court on. But that's not where the Apex Court stopped. The Supreme Court observed that it is not just looking at one particular entity, but the whole host of stakeholders when it comes to the issue of misleading advertisements. And to that end, even made a reference to the vast pool of FMCG companies, saying that the Supreme Court has been going through recent reports of how products have been issued for babies and for children, and how these products have been misleading, and that is something that the Apex Court will be looking into. Not just that, the Supreme Court also pulled up the centre on inaction, on not taking enough measures to combat these misleading advertisements. That is again something that the centre will have to reply on. And finally, on the conduct of the doctors themselves, the Supreme Court noting that there are allegations with respect to doctors indulging in unethical practices at the time of issuance and prescribing of these medicines. That is also something that the Indian Medical Association will have to respond on. So clearly, the Apex Court widening the scope of these proceedings here.
Ashmit, many thanks. And the Director General of Civil Aviation has instructed airlines to ensure that children below the age of 12 are seated with their parents. This advisory comes after several cases came into notice where children below 12 are not seated with their parents. There's no relief for beleaguered EdTech major Byju's just yet. This after the National Company Law Tribunal deferred the rights issue matter to the 6th of June. Remember, the NCLT's order had prevented Byju's from using its funds from the rights issue and had asked the startup to deposit the money in an escrow account. However, investors allege that Byju's has used the funds in violation of the NCLT's order. Ritu joins us now with more. Ritu, take us to what transpired at the NCLT today and where this leaves Byju's.
Well, for Byju's, there's no relief just yet because NCLT's interim orders that were issued on the 27th of February continue to remain in force, and that means Byju's has to keep the funds raised from the rights issue in an escrow account, and it cannot use them until the court's final orders in the matter. Now, during the hearing in court today, 4 of Byju's investors who have filed an oppression and mismanagement plea against the company accused Byju's of using some of the funds raised during the recently concluded rights issue in violation of the NCLT order, and they also alleged that Byju's had not deposited the money that it received from this prior to the 27th of February in an escrow account, which is contrary to the directions of the court. Now, Byju's refuted these allegations, and it said it was in compliance with the court's orders, and the court has now asked the investors to file either an application or an affidavit to put their claims on the record in a week's time, after which it will hear the matter. For now, the case has been adjourned, and it will now only be taken up after the 6th of June. Now, keep in mind, Byju's has stated it needed this rights issue money to tackle the ongoing liquidity crunch, and that includes the payments of salaries to employees, vendor payments and so on. And Byju's, we know, has already delayed the payout of March salaries, only partially paid its employees from the debt that was raised by its founder, Byju Ravindran. And so now, with no relief in sight from the court on the use of funds from this rights issue just yet, it remains unclear at this point in time how the company is going to meet its obligations, including paying its employees their salaries in the coming months.
Ritu, many thanks for joining us. That is the latest in the Byju's matter. The big global story: pro-Palestinian protests sweeping campuses of prestigious U.S. colleges like Yale, NYU and Columbia amidst the Israel-Palestine conflict. Demonstrations at these campuses have prompted significant police intervention and drastic administrative measures like cancellation of in-person classes at Columbia. Over 100 pro-Palestinian demonstrators who had camped out on Columbia's greens were arrested last week. Tensions remained high at Columbia after campus gates were locked to anyone without a student ID. Meanwhile, police officers arrested about 45 protesters at Yale and charged them with misdemeanor and trespassing. Taiwan was struck by multiple earthquakes, leaving the city grappling with aftershocks. The strongest earthquake recorded a magnitude of 6.3. Only minor damage has been reported, with no casualties so far. This comes after a 7.2 magnitude earthquake hit the country on the 3rd of April, claiming the lives of at least 14 people. iPhone sales in China down 19% in the March quarter, marking the worst quarter for the company since 2020. This fall was largely attributed to the growth and expansion of Chinese phone brands Xiaomi and Honor. China continues to remain one of Apple's biggest markets. However, the escalated ban on foreign devices in state-backed firms and government agencies has hindered Apple's growth in China further. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called Elon Musk an arrogant billionaire who considered himself above the law. This after X refused to comply with orders asking them to take down videos of a stabbing incident in Sydney, and only Geo blocked the post. Musk tweeted on X asking if e-safety in Australia have the authority over all countries on Earth.
Well, this guy is showing his arrogance. He's a billionaire over there in the United States who thinks he's above Australian law. This isn't about censorship, it's about common sense and common decency, and Elon Musk should show some.
That is the Australian Prime Minister up against Elon Musk. Up next, all the action from the campaign trail on our special segment, Election Exchange. We're back in a minute. Prime Minister Modi attacking the Congress party again by claiming that it tried to reduce the SC/ST reservation to provide reservation for Muslims in Andhra Pradesh. The Prime Minister, speaking at an election rally in Rajasthan, had earlier claimed that the Congress party manifesto talks about wealth redistribution to Muslims. The Congress has denied the charges. In fact, the words Hindu or Muslim do not find any place in the Congress manifesto.
मैं कांग्रेस को पूछना चाहता हूं, क्या कांग्रेस ऐलान करेगी कि संविधान में दलितों, पिछड़ों के आरक्षण को, आदिवासियों के आरक्षण को कम करके वो इसे मुसलमानों को नहीं बांटेंगे? जरा वह देश की जनता को वादा करो। मोदी आज आपको खुले मन से गारंटी दे रहा है, दलितों, पिछड़ों और आदिवासियों का आरक्षण न खत्म होगा। ये मोदी की गारंटी है। आरक्षण न खत्म होगा और न ही उसे धर्म के नाम पर बांटने दिया
Kerala's
जाएगा।
Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has criticised Prime Minister Modi for his remarks against Muslims. He tweeted, and I quote, "The Prime Minister himself making such communal remarks seeking to make political gains is a clear indication of the threats democratic and secular values are facing in the country." End of quote. Further urged the Election Commission to take strong action against them and called on progressive and secular forces to stand together to ensure that the election is transparent and in tune with democratic values. The industrial hub of Gurugram is all set to go to the polls on the 25th of May, with 24.9 lakh people eligible to cast their votes. The Millennium City of Gurugram has 9 assembly segments, including Rewari and Nuh. The district of Nuh had seen widespread communal riots last year. Expectations across Gurugram are diverse, and the India Alliance is trying to defeat Rao Inderjeet Singh of the BJP, who wants to win a 6th consecutive term. Take a look.
Commonly known as the Millennium City, Gurugram hosts the India offices of over 250 Fortune 500 companies, including PepsiCo and Nestle, as well as the headquarters of the International Solar Alliance. However, the Gurugram Lok Sabha constituency comprises of 9 assembly segments, which are a mix of urban areas, rural areas and urbanized villages.
Approximately 25 kilometers from New Delhi, the city of Gurugram is one of India's leading financial and tech hubs. The city attracts 70% of total investments coming into Haryana and is a top manufacturing hub for automobiles, electronic components, chemicals and FMCG goods. But despite the economic prosperity, Gurugram is notorious for poor civic infrastructure.
There are some glaring issues which come to mind. I mean, in terms of infrastructure, roads, there's a lot that can be done. Considering that this is supposed to be a Millennium City, I'm sure there's a lot that we can expect from our local MP.
Over the last few decades, Gurugram has seen rapid development, but a lack of clear infrastructure planning has led to civic issues. Not all residents are sold on the kind of development the region has seen.
द्वारका एक्सप्रेसवे हो गया हमारा, इसका 3 बार उद्घाटन करा दिया। कई फील्ड में इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा, जैसे राम मंदिर बनाया, लेकिन राम सिर्फ हिंदुओं का या मोदी जी का अकेले का थोड़ा ही है, वो तो सभी का है, हमारे देश के भगवान है।
Of course, not everyone is unhappy.
हम मोदी को वोट क्यों ना दे? हम सुरक्षित है जी कति हर चीज से, बिजली अब भी 24 घंटा आती है जी हमारे पास।
While Gurugram has a large Hindu population, there is a significant Muslim population too. New in Gurugram, with 80% Muslims, has one of the highest concentration of Muslims in North India. The district saw violent riots last year, which according to the police charge sheet, was sparked by the killing of 2 Muslim men at the hands of cow vigilantes. People we spoke to say that while this is still a simmering issue, it's not the only one.
दंगे होते हैं तो इसमें नुकसान आम पब्लिक का ही होता है, उनका बेरोजगारी छिन जाती है, काफी नुकसान हुआ लोगों को, कास्ट को लेके भी रहेगा, जॉब का भी रहेगा।
I don't think communal issues are prevalent in at least in this area where we live.
Voters in some pockets in Gurugram are also divided over the Agniveer scheme. The India Alliance has promised to withdraw the short-term Agniveer scheme for the armed forces.
हमारे यहाँ के बच्चों ने तो अग्निवीर स्कीम आई थी, जब से भर्ती सब छोड़ दिए।
इससे बढ़िया कोई अपनी जॉब कर लेगा वो अच्छा है, 4 साल में कौन शहीद होगा बेचारा।
To win the Gurugram seat, the BJP has fielded Rao Inderjeet Singh yet again and is angling for a 6th term. JJP, the BJP's former ally, has fielded singer and rapper Rahul Yadav, also known as Fazil Puria. The Congress, meanwhile, which was once the dominant power in Haryana, is grappling with tremendous factionalism and is yet to announce its candidate.
5-time MP Rao Inderjeet Singh is fighting for his 6th consecutive term, and this time against an India Alliance candidate. But the task is not going to be easy for him at all. On the top of anti-incumbency, voters have flagged issues like poor civic infrastructure, lack of investment, jobs, and even apprehensions against the Agniveer scheme. Clearly, the electoral battle for Gurugram would be one to watch out for. In Gurugram with video journalist Akhilesh Singh, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC-TV18.
While the Indian Met Department has warned of heat waves across large parts of the country, the administrations of Kanpur, Vadodara have swung into action to protect a vulnerable portion of their officers, the traffic police. CNBC-TV18's Dhananjay Khatri reports that one small company with a patented technology has stepped up to help with its unique air-conditioned helmets. Take a look.
These are not your regular helmets because each of these comes with an air conditioner built into it.
To beat the heat, state government of Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat have entered into a partnership with a Telangana-based startup firm Just Safety to provide AC helmets for the traffic police personnel. While 350 helmets have already been given to Vadodara City Traffic Police, and now 7 helmets have already been given to the Kanpur City Police, and this is expected to be rolled out in major other police commissionerates as well.
These specially designed helmets come with a patented cooling design that uses battery-operated solid-state cooling technology. So unlike a regular AC or a refrigerator, there is no compressor or a condenser. Each helmet weighs around 200 grams, costs 12,000 rupees and boasts a rechargeable battery that allows 10 hours of use.
This is essentially a portable form of an air conditioner. The air conditioner weighs only 200 grams and this air conditioner is then fitted onto a helmet, such that the person can wear it on the head like this and have the air conditioner flow around the head, keeping the person comfortable while working at say 40 to 60 degree ambient temperatures, working near heavy machinery, working outdoors near the sun, etc., keeping the person comfortable.
The feedback from trial runs have been positive, and Vadodara's Chief of Traffic Police DCP Jyoti Patel says the force has purchased 450 such helmets already and plans to order more. It is also looking at other accessories that will help personnel beat the heat.
We are even thinking of having AC jackets for the police. We are still on the trial run. We have invited a few manufacturers who are having AC jackets. So if AC helmets would work, we may even get AC jackets for them.
Just Safety, which has designed and manufactured these helmets, says the product has passed European and Indian safety tests and so is safe to use, especially since the low power application eliminates the risk of mechanical failures or short circuits. The Kanpur police has also begun a trial run of these helmets.
अभी हमने ट्रायल के तौर पर 7 हेलमेट हम लाए हैं और हम अपने TSIs और कांस्टेबल्स को पहनाकर इसका ट्रायल कर रहे हैं. उनका हम रिव्यू ले रहे हैं ताकि इस विकेट की गर्मी में यातायात के साथ-साथ हम उनका भी ध्यान रख सकें.
Just Safety is also in talks with other police departments for its AC helmets and hopes that these devices will help prevent traffic police who spend long days in the sun in the course of their duties from succumbing to heat-related ailments like heat strokes. In Mumbai, Dhananjay Khatri.
Well, if they work, this can be a hot-selling item, especially with mercury soaring above 40 degrees in most parts of the country in summer season. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue after this short break. Stay right there. We're back in a moment with more.